Hi guys, this is Fia from Fia's Handmade Soaps, and I'm doing a soap today. It's going to be a 5-pound soap, hot process, scented in one of the popular men's cologne type fragrances called Drakkar Type from Brambleberry. You know, the cologne is the same name, Drakkar Noir. So it smells really good. Definitely a really good smelling men's cologne. But anyway, I wanted to, while my shea butter is melting in the crock pot, I wanted to go over with you guys the soap I'm going to be doing today. And I have my paper here so you can follow along, and for you guys that need some tips or whatever, or you know, you're just starting out, this is not an intimidating process. Hot process is pretty easy, but I have my paper here, and I always write some notes and stuff down in here, and I'll let you know what I do, so maybe that can help you in the future. Okay, so I'm not going to move the paper too close to the camera because it don't seem to focus too well. Now, I start out, when I go to Soapcalc.net, I put all my information in as far as the oils and butters that I'm going to be using and how much fragrance oil and everything. And we're going to start at the top. And I always, for hot process, I do 38% water. I start off with the 38%, I'm sorry, and I do 8% soapy fat. And you see right here it says I'm doing a 5-pound soap. And over here is how much fragrance oil will be used. They put all that on the Soapcalc. So if you're just starting out and you're not sure how to do your own recipe, just go to Soapcalc.net and play around with it. Play around. There's YouTube videos on how to use it if you're not sure how to use it, but it's really easy. But I'm just gonna show you what I have here. And to start off, I'm sorry if you can't see it too well. My phone is not really focusing all that well. But those of you who know what Soapcalc looks like would know exactly where I'm at right here. Okay, so water, lye, oils, and fragrance. Those are the lines here. So the first line is water, and I do everything in ounces and not grams. So my water is, for my 5-pound batch, is 30.40. I wish it would focus good, but it's not focusing all that well. It's 30.40, and as you can see in the parentheses here, I have 24.80. Now, the reason I put that in the parentheses because to start, even though it says 38% water, I'm going to start with 31%, adding the liquid to the crock pot adding the liquid to the lye, and then adding it to the crock pot and saving that 7% of liquid for the end of cook. So that's what I did. I put in 31%, and 31% of 5 pounds is 24.80. So this is how much 24.80 ounces is what I will be using to add to the lye. And the rest of it, which is 5.60, of course I always make a note at the bottom of the paper, 5.60 will be held for the end of cook to add more fluidity. Okay? And next we have how much lye will be going in, which is 10.53. Now for most scales like mine, I have a KD 8000 from Amazon, so it will only do like whole numbers. That 3 won't go in. Just like even if I switch to grams, it is 298, and you won't get that 0.51. So what I do for lye is you lye down and oil up. So if your oil stopped at a weird number like a 53, you would go 1055 for oil. For lye, you would go 1050. You would lye down, if you understand that. So yeah, since this ends at a 53, of course, when I measured out my lye, I measured 10.50 ounces. And that's for oils. I'm doing 5 pounds of oil, so that amounts to 80 ounces. And since I have a Brambleberry fragrance, you go to since I got it from Brambleberry.com, you would use their fragrance calculator, and you put in the fragrance that you bought and the process that you do, and it gives you an estimate on mild, medium, and strong numbers as far as scent for your fragrance, and that's how much you would enter in here. And so I entered 0.80 per pound of oil. So of course, after a 5 pound batch, that comes out to 4 ounces. You don't have to add your fragrance on there. I just like to add it to let me know the total amount of liquid that's going to be in my batch. But you don't have to add it. A lot of people don't. Now, we go down here to the oils and butters. I have sweet almond, castor, coconut oil, olive oil, shea butter. And the percentages, 20, 10, 20, 25, 25, which equals out to 100. Now, since I work in ounces, for the first line, which is sweet almond oil, you can see for my 5 pound batch, I need 16 ounces. But I am going to do, instead of doing 1 super fat today, I'm going to do 2. And I will tell you why. I'm going to do 2 different ones. So my super fat, what I'm doing is, it says 8% at the top here, right? But you could hold that whole 8% super fat, which would, off the top of my head, tell you how much a whole 8% of 5 pounds is. But you got a calculator, you can do it. So you can hold that whole 8% to the end of cook. But what I like to do is add a little leeway in there. I will put in 3% of the super fat right off the bat, right in the pot, and hold the 5% of this 8 at the end. So 5% super fat of the 5 pound batch will equal out to 4 ounces. 5%, 4 ounces. So what I decided to do is do half shea, half sweet almond. So, which is 4 ounces, so I'm going to hold 2 ounces of shea and 2 ounces of sweet almond for the end. I'll tell you why in a second. So, you see that 16 there. I'm going to hold 2 ounces of this. So, I put 14 here. I wish this camera would focus. Just trust me, that's a 14. I always write on my papers to let me know what I'm doing. The 14 ounces in parentheses I have right here next to the 16. That means I'm adding 14 ounces into the pot right off the bat, and I'm holding 2 ounces for the end. So 14 is what I'm using right now. Okay. Next line is 8 ounces of castor, 16 ounces of coconut oil, 20 ounces of olive oil, and right here is shea butter. Now we have 20 ounces of shea. Since we're holding about 2 ounces of that, this here in the parentheses, again, it's blurry, but take my word for it, it's an 18. Since I'm holding 2 ounces for the end of cook, I put in parentheses 18 ounces that I'm adding right into the pot right off the bat. And that's my shea butter. Usually, when I make my high process soaps, all my super fat is always shea butter. But now that we got that out of the way, I will tell you why I'm doing half and half. Well, I'm doing 2 ounces of shea because I always add shea at the end, and I like how that is added at the end. But for the first time ever, I'm holding 2 ounces of sweet almond for the end because, well, for my recipe here, I'm adding the Drakkar Noir. I'm calling it the Drakkar Noir. It's Drakkar Type from Brambleberry, but of course the cologne is called Drakkar Noir. But I'm adding the Drakkar, and to me, I wanted the colors to be like a black and with like a little touch of red. So because when you Google or you've ever seen a cologne, it's usually black with like some white letters on it, but the packaging usually has some red on it somewhere. So, and I kind of like that color scheme. And I'm going to use, for the black, some activated charcoal, which is coconut shell, activated charcoal. And for the red, I am using Nurture Soap, Candy Apple Crystal Mica from Nurture Soap. So hopefully this will give me the red I'm looking for, but I didn't want it to be really like bright red, so I did add 1/8 of a scoop of activated charcoal in here as well. So we will see whether, and I'm sprinkling it all over the place. We will see on whether I need more of the red or more of the activated charcoal once I mix it with soap. Okay, now the reason I did the 2 ounces of sweet almond oil at the end, which usually you would just do shea butter, is because the activated charcoal, you can put it in dry, but it's better mixed with some type of oil or liquid or some type of water or something. So I decided oil. So the 2 ounces, one here, I have 1 ounce in this little one of these little plastic cups here, and this 1 ounce of the sweet almond I mixed with the charcoal. And I want it to be black, but you don't want to add too much charcoal. So I'm starting off with, since I'm doing 5 pounds, I added 5 half a tablespoon scoops with 1 ounce of the sweet almond. Now, I mixed it with the oil, so I'm saving this oil at the end. Again, I'm in case I, just didn't clarify myself, but you don't necessarily have to. You can just, I can add extra oil if I wanted to, and I guess it would sort of be like an extra super fat, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to add extra unnecessary oils. So that's why I saved 2 ounces of the sweet almond to mix it with the activated charcoal, and I'll mix some of this in this cup with the red when it's time. Now, I'm not mixing it right now, only because once I separate a little bit off the batch for the red, I'll separate whatever I might need for the top, and I'm going to add this in. I might need more charcoal if it's not black enough. And when that happens, instead of me adding extra oil to the batch, unnecessary oil, I have this here, this one ounce of untouched sweet almond oil. And if I don't use it, like I'm not going to use that much for when I pour this in here, maybe like a tablespoon or 2 for the red. But whatever I don't use is just going to go right in the pot as a super fat. So that's why I saved these 2 ounces of sweet almond, because it doubles as the super fat, of course, and as the oil that you need to mix with your micas and your charcoal. See what I mean? Now, I could have just added this all in the beginning and just took out a couple extra more ounces of oil. You can, but that's unnecessary oil you don't necessarily need, and you're kind of messing up your super fat. Now, because your super fat on this paper is recorded at 8%. If I decided to just add all the sweet almond in and just take out an extra 2 ounces of oil to do this, my super fat won't be at 8%. It will be like maybe at like 10%, but that's not what I recorded down here, and therefore you're kind of, if you're selling, you want to make sure all your numbers and your ingredients and the amounts and everything is correct. You don't want to be guessing, and you want to make sure everything is correct. So it says 8% down here, and you want to make sure everything is recorded properly. So that's why I saved that 2%. Now, I'm not going to touch this until after I put this, after I separate a little bit from the batch, to put aside for the red. I'll add this in. If it doesn't look dark enough, I will take some of this, not the whole thing. I'll add some of this with some more charcoal, maybe a couple more half tablespoons to see if it gets the black that I'm looking for. I'm not going to use the whole thing because, again, I need some of this for this red here. And I don't want to use too much of that, but if I start doing the red, and again, if it doesn't look as red as I want it to, I will again get some more of it, or maybe a little bit more black if it's too bright, and add a little bit more of this. So this is going to be used to support my colors right now in my activated charcoal. See what I'm saying? Now the shea butter I'm adding at the end is going right in there at the end. I'm not worried about that, but this is why I saved a little bit of this activated. This is why I saved a little bit of the sweet almond oil at the end. Okay. Now normally I don't. Normally it's just straight shea butter all the way for my super fat. Okay, and I say, did I go over everything? And when you go to Soapcalc and you put everything in, and you go to the bottom. I think it's view print page or something like that, and this page will come up with all your stats and everything. All of this will come up, and then at the bottom you can type your notes or additives that you're adding into your, or you can just print it out and just write everything out, because sometimes you're adding stuff on a whim and then you want to make sure you record it, and you just get out your pen and write it down at the bottom. Or you forget something and you just want to cross whatever it is that you forgot out to make sure that you remember for when you writing up your ingredients. If you're selling it and everything, you want to make sure everything is recorded properly and everything is accurate, you know. And you can give your soap a name at the top, which I did right here. I just named it Drakkar Soap Hot Process to let me know that that's what I actually did. And for those of the beginners, any recipe, you see this recipe here, even though I'm doing hot process, you can use this for cold process as well. Any recipe can be either or. It's just that if you're doing cold process, you don't need to really do these numbers here, because you're not saving anything at the end of cook, because you're not cooking anything for cold process. So these numbers, the separate column that you have here wouldn't apply to that. For cold process, you would just add the regular, add everything into the pot, blend it, pour it into the mold. Bam, there you go. I'm probably making it seem a whole lot easier than it is, but you'll get it, don't worry. Just keep on trying and keep on watching videos. You'll make it. It's pretty easy. Okay, where was I before I go? Okay, down here I wrote sodium lactate. Don't forget that. The sodium lactate you add to your lye water. And that helps to create a harder bar, and it's just liquid salt, and it helps you get the soap out of the mold once it gets hard enough. And you do 1 teaspoon per pound of oil. Since I'm doing 5 pounds, I would do 5 teaspoons. And I recorded down here my colors, which is black and red, and activated charcoal for black. Make sure. And over here, I always write down what liquid I'm using for my soup at that particular time. Most of the time it's goat's milk or something, but I write down here liquid, and I'm using aloe vera juice. At the end of cook, I'm using coconut milk. I put coconut milk after cook, and that is 5.60 ounces. That's the 7% subtracted from the 38% of liquid from the top. I'm only starting with 31%. That 7% is going to be added at the end. That's how you keep your soap fluid. And down here, I always record my super fat, which is shea butter and sweet almond oil at 5% for the end of cook, and that comes to 4 ounces. Even though up here I have 8%, I'm only throwing 3% in the batch right away, and I'm saving 5% for the end, instead of just saving the whole 8%. And the reason why I do that, because you can just calculate that 8% and just hold the whole thing, but it gives you more of a leeway if you leave like 1 or 2% for just straight for the batch. Because what if your scale is a little faulty, or you don't have your batteries are running low and it kind of is a little wonky, and you're not really sure, or not that you're not really sure, but you didn't really notice that that 5%, that 3% I'm leaving in there gives me a little bit of leeway in case my numbers are off a little bit. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Okay, I'll show you the mold I'm using. I'm using a 5-pound Nurture soap mold, which is a big beast. Oh my goodness, it's so amazing. It has these holes at the bottom for you to push the silicone out when you're done. I have my goggles. They're supposed to be anti-fog. Man, they're not. These things, I think I got them off of Amazon. These things fog up so bad. I need to find a different pair. Because Katie from Royalty Soaps, I know she said in her video she found a pair off of Amazon that doesn't fog up at all. And I need to go buy the ones that she got. Because these things are horrible. They fog up so bad. But all I have right now, they have a little foam here to protect your face. They're all I have right now. And I keep them on just in case. You never know. And I noticed that when I mix lye with frozen, like frozen milk or anything frozen, the fumes they don't bother me. It's not really that many fumes, but when the liquid I'm mixing with it is just regular liquid, there's a lot more fumes. So I have this mask that I also bought my husband off of Amazon that you put on your face. Just look up on Amazon like face mask. If I remember, because I'll put a link down at the bottom for the face mask I got. It has Velcro and everything, so it Velcros around your face. But this thing is actually pretty good. I like this thing, so when it bothers me and opening the windows don't work, this is exactly what you want to have. Oh, right, and I said I use aloe vera juice. I'll show you exactly the juice I use. It's in the fridge. 1 second. So, this is what I use that I get from Walmart. It's like $6 from Walmart. So that. And this is what I use for almost everything if I'm not using some type of milk. Because I never use water for my soaps. It's always aloe vera juice or goat's milk or buttermilk or some type of puree or, just something. Anything but water. But I really like using this. And you don't have to freeze it before you mix it with your lye. So, and there we have it. Any questions you have, just, put in the comments below. And I'll be right back with the actual process of making the soap. Hey guys, I'm back. I just finished mixing the lye water, and I'm going to add it now. Okay. Let's hope this crock pot can hold all of this liquid. And we are pretty much at the top here. Oh Jesus. This is actually the first time I'm making this much soap in the crock pot. So, wish me luck. Luck and a half, that's for sure. We want to be really careful with this because it is to the top. I did not expect this. The mold is 5 pounds and I'm doing 5 pounds of soap. So, you know what that equals out to. That means that I need another little mold on the side, and which I forgot upstairs where all my stuff is. Because the 5 pounds, even though when you put your information in Soapcalc and it says 5 pounds, but there also is that number on the paper that says total weight, which I think mine came to about 7 pounds point something, which means if the mold is only 5 pounds, and that 5 pounds only talks about oil, not about the added liquid you put in there or whatever additives and fragrances and stuff you put in there, that doesn't equal out to 5 pounds. That is more. So I forgot to grab another little mold that I'm going to need, which I'll get later. Okay, well, I just paused it for a second because my husband heard that I needed extra mold, and he ran up and got me 2 of my loaf molds, which weren't the right ones, but I thank him anyway for actually running upstairs to get it for me. And I told him they weren't the right ones, so he ran up to get another mold. So right now, my pot is on high, and I'm whisking and not stick blending. I know, but this is what I do. This is what I do every time. And I am whisking until I get to trace. Or, I mean, who am I kidding? I'm going to whisk through the whole freaking process until the soap gets too thick to whisk, and then I'll pull out the spatula. But the thing is, like, this soap is so filled to the top, I might not actually have anything to really scrape down. Oh, thank you, honey. My husband just brought me the mold that I actually needed, which is this one. Thank you. He's the silent ninja. He didn't say a word. So anyway, yeah, this is so this process can take a little bit. But if there's anything you guys, you know, if you don't want to hear me babbling, or you're just tired of just looking at me whisk and stir, you can always fast forward. That's fine, because it's pretty much going to be a long, the whole process pretty much is just going to be this. But don't fast forward too fast now, because this is the beginning. I'm saying this at the beginning. We don't know what the rest of the process is going to hold, because I've never actually made this much soap at one time. And it's pretty much filled to the top. So stay tuned. Don't fast forward too fast now. You might want to witness what happens, because I don't know. So now I know that the next time I put in this recipe, I am going to put in probably either 4 pounds or 4.5. I might just put in 4 pounds. Yeah, I might put in 4 pounds. Or 4.5. Probably 4. That might actually, with all the, once I put in 4 pounds for oils, and adding the fragrance and the lye water liquid, that should bring me up to about 5 pounds or so, and that should probably bring me level with the mold. But I like to, even though the mold might be like 2 pounds or 3 or 4 or 5, I like to put in that same amount for oils, because after everything is mixed in and everything, of course it's going to be probably a couple pounds over. I like to pile it on top and like, you know, create like a little, I don't know, a little slope, give you a little extra soap. You get a little extra soap instead of that level regular soap. I like to give a little bit extra. Why not? It's a thank you for saying, no, it's a thank you for using my soaps. I give a little extra. Oh, it's so nice and silky. But when you whisk like this, I guess when you stick blend too, but as you start to do more soaps and you start to stick blend a lot more and whisk or whatever a lot more, you'll start to get the feel for when your soap starts to thicken up. You'll start to notice when slightly there's a change in thickness, that when you've reached trace or emulsion. First of all, I need to stop putting this in there. definitely getting thick now. Yeah. Thickening up. Good job. Good job. So when we get to this point, it's thickening up. The next part I usually call like the applesauce stage, because it looks like applesauce to me. You know how grainy and gritty the applesauce looks? That's usually how it looks to me. Now, other people, I noticed that other people, it's different names for everything. I don't know if some people call what I call the applesauce stage, some people call it the mashed potato stage, or the Vaseline stage. I don't know, but I guess as long as you call it what you want, but as long as you know what stage you're on, you're all good. You really don't have to call it anything, really. You really don't. But I think we just, as soapers, we just like to call something, we just like to call everything something. So it's getting thick now. It won't be long until I get to the applesauce stage. But I think the reason why we name it something is because for the people who are new to making hot process, it helps to, when they start to learn how to do the hot process, and they go in and they stir in or whatever, and they look in, and once they see that stage pop up, they know they're on the right track. But that's not always true as far as the stages. Sometimes, depending, I guess, on your recipe or whether you're cooking on high or low, sometimes your soap will skip a whole stage and just jump right to the end. Sometimes that happens. And I think that happened to me when that one time I had the volcano, because I wasn't really babysitting the pot like I usually do, trying to half watch TV and half make soap. And it was like this in the beginning. And when I went to watch some TV, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, 15 minutes or whatever, I came back and it was just like at the end of the freaking cook. And then next thing you know, when I went to stir it, it was just like volcanoing all over the place. And it was done. So it kind of skipped the applesauce stage because I wasn't here to do what I usually do with it. But it really depends. Sometimes your soap will skip a stage. That don't mean there's something wrong. That don't mean there's anything wrong. It's just, every soap is not equal. Everybody is different. Everybody's recipe is different. Would work well for someone else, might not work well for you, So don't get discouraged about that when you try hot process. You're like, oh, well, I don't know what stage I'm on. That's fine. You don't have to call it anything. Or you think that your soap may have skipped a stage. That's fine. It'll get done. Don't worry. And another thing, don't really worry about, I feel like you shouldn't really worry about how long your soap takes to cook. Me, because it depends on really the method that you use and, how you chose to make your soap. The way I do things, because I don't use a stick blender and I usually whisk everything, mine takes a little bit longer. But that might not be true for somebody else. Just because mine take a little bit longer when I'm whisking, yours might not take as long as mine. So just because you watch a video and you try to do the recipe and mimic that video and you wonder why they soap got done before yours, don't worry about that. Just worry about your soap and how your soap is going. As long as it looks good and everything, and measured everything right, and it don't matter. unless you're impatient, then I guess you would be worried like, hey, this soap is taking way too long, something's wrong, what's going on. I don't worry about that. When I start making soap, I don't look at the time. Somebody asks, well, how long does it take? Maybe an hour, maybe 2, maybe 1.5. I don't know. I mean, because when I start to do my soap, I'm not in a rush. You know, I make sure I do it on a day or a time when I don't have to be in a rush. And if I'm in a rush, I will be doing cold process, best believe. But yeah, I don't really watch the clock. Unless you got like a house full of kids or something and you really are on a time crunch and you just trying to hurry up and get some soap out of the way, then you might want to do cold process or stick blend the crap out of this joint until it's halfway done. I don't know, but don't worry about the time. If you patient and you know nobody else here to bother you or distract you or anything, I wouldn't worry about the time. Don't worry about it. And also, every crock pot is not equal, so there's a good chance if yours is taking probably like 3 hours or something like that, there's a good chance and you cooking it on high, your crock pot is probably on the way out. So it really depends, you know. I think every crock pot is different, every recipe is different, everybody's method is different, so times vary. Some people say they hot process take 30 minutes tops. Wow, that's great. Mine don't. But I'm also okay with that. So if you know yours take a little bit more time, just be okay with that. If you're not, then, and you only want to do hot process and you don't want to do cold process, then I would say try and find the fastest method possible, I guess. I don't know, which might be, I don't know, like microwave hot process. I don't know how to do that, but I did hear that people do that as well as countertop stick blending hot process. I don't know how that goes, but I know my used stick blender is not going to go for that. So hey, try every method if you want to. Try every method that you can and find out what works. It's all up to you. The sky is the limit when it comes to soap. Oh yeah, this is definitely thick trace now. Thick trace. So now we're waiting for the next stage to happen. So when everything is done, I have my coconut milk here, 5.60 ounces of coconut milk, and I have my 2 ounces of shea butter, which is like half melted. It's pretty cold in my kitchen, so half melted and going solid by the minute, even though I warmed it up in the microwave, but it is pretty chilly in here. Now, when you if you add in coconut milk and you measure it and sit it to the side for when you're ready to use it, just make sure you stir it before you add it. Actually, if you don't, I don't think it'll be anything wrong with that. But it tends to separate the water and the milk in there. It separates, so just stir it up before you pour it in. This is definitely. Is thick. You can't see probably from that angle, and the fact that there's no natural light and I'm in my kitchen and there's shadows everywhere, but it's starting to bubble. So this next stage is pretty much Next stage is here, or it's on its way. I love hot process. I love the feel of the soap when you whisking it or when you stirring it, how thick it is. Meanwhile, if you if you do that or wait till it's that thick during cold process, you might want to hurry up and throw it in the mold, because if it's getting that thick, it's that's not going to be pretty. Cold process, you want to throw it in a mold before it gets too thick. Got my ladle ready that I got from the dollar store for when I'm going to scoop it out into the mold. Oh yeah, we are definitely at applesauce stage. I don't know if you can actually tell that it looks like it's turning color. Like it looks like it's light and then it looks like it's getting dark in places. Yeah. That is the applesauce stage. It looks like, from my angle, it looks like warm applesauce from here. But from your angle, since you're way up there, it probably just looks regular. But I don't know. You might be able to, from the glare of the light on the soap, when I do this, you might be able to see the texture. Might be able to see the texture. That looks like applesauce to me. But you can call it what you want. You really can. There's no rule saying what you gotta call it. Or you don't have to call it anything. See that? Yeah, this is the stage we were looking for, the next stage. Which I call the applesauce stage. All the soap is doing is separating, and you just, stir it or whisk it to get it back together. That's all it's going to do is separate, and then you stir it and whisk it, get it back together. Or once it's past this stage, it is on to the mashed potato stage, and after that, a few more minutes and your soap will be done. As you start to soap more and more with hot process, you'll start to recognize when when your soap is done. You'll know. I always seem to know when my soap is done, but I always, to be sure, zap test it. You don't have to. I like to. And I'll show you what zap testing is when we get there. Most people don't like the zap test. You don't have to. Like I said, I always know when mine is done, but I don't know. I just like to be double sure. I want to be double sure, so I zap test it. What was I about to do? Right. Scraping some of this down that fell up there. feel like hot process is the easiest thing in the world to learn, but I will say it is, it can be time consuming. It can be. But like I said, if you're not in a rush, then, you know, if you're not watching the clock, the long process don't bother me. I'm okay with it. I'll take it over cold process any day. This is actually the first time I'm making a 5-pound loaf of hot process, which I probably mentioned already when I said this is the first time me adding this much soap in one pot. So duh, obviously this is the first time me doing it, but and if you guys have any of you guys have tried my method of hot process, let me know in the comments below how you like it. If you didn't like it, you didn't think it worked for you, you can say that too. I'm all about talking to the people. Anybody who wanna, have any questions or anything, I answer whatever questions I can. Or you could say, hey, I tried your method, it sucked. And I tried somebody else's method and it worked. You can say that too. As long as you're trying something and not completely writing hot process off. Some people say they tried it a couple times, it didn't work out for them, so they decided not to try it again. I'm like, why? That just means you didn't find the method for you. That just means whatever method you were using, or whoever you were trying to mimic, or whatever videos you were watching and it just didn't work out for you. Try other methods. There's so many different hot process videos out there. There's so many different methods. I'm not saying you gotta try them all, but sometimes trying mixing one method that you saw a video of with a different method that you might seen a video of actually comes out to be a perfect method for you. You gotta come up with your own method. Sometimes mimicking other people doesn't work. It definitely didn't work for me. Not really, it didn't work for me. Even though I did get my method from someone from watching JJ Novice over at Soapalicious. Page is Soap Inc. on Facebook, but he's definitely, he's a veteran. His soap cooks a whole lot faster than mine, and I got I got the roots, my roots from him. But he soaps better. He soaps better than me, but I did get this method, or at least part of the method, or whatever, from him. I tend to tell him he's my high process celebrity. I wish I lived near him so I could just be like, hey, I need you to come over and help. I need some more hot process tips. But find your method, find your niche, and work on it, and stand on your own 2 feet. You can watch 1,001 or 1,000,001 videos, but eventually you're going to have to get out there and get your own experience and try it for yourself. Just try it. So all I'm doing is, you know what I'm doing. Stirring, keeping it scraped down as much as I can. We're still in the applesauce stage. We didn't move past it yet. So I'm just stirring a little bit, letting it rest, stirring a little bit. Nothing fancy. I'm just keeping it together by stirring. bad boy getting thick. It's almost getting too thick for the whisk. Almost. Yeah, this is definitely getting thick. Because my arm is getting tired for once. Well, this is more soap than I'm used to. So, the whole video is not in real time because I did pause it a couple times while it was just sitting here doing nothing, while I was just stirring as usual. See all that? Now, doesn't that look like applesauce? I don't know if some people call this the mashed potato stage or the Vaseline stage. This looks like applesauce to me. So, to me, this will always be the applesauce stage. All I'm doing is stirring it. It's separating. That's why it looks like applesauce. And all I'm doing is stirring it back together. Trying to beat it into submission. Whole pot of applesauce. I can feel it changing. I can feel it. When it starts to get too thick for the whisk, or you could feel when you stir in at this stage, is when you first hit the stage, it's sort of kind of loose because it's separating and you just stirring it back together. But as you stirring it, as the longer it's in this stage, you feel it start to get really, really thick. That's because you're moving out of the applesauce stage into the mashed potato stage. You're moving to the next stage, and the next stage is definitely thicker. And I'm definitely going to have to change to like a eventually have to change to like a spoon or something to stir, because it's definitely getting too hard for this whisk. But I'm trying anyway. Oh yeah, I've definitely learned my lesson with this much soap in the pot all the way to the top. Too much soap. Yeah, it's getting thick on the way to mashed potatoes. If you can see in the middle how thick it is, it's on its way to mashed potato. And I'm just trying to make sure I'm stirring the I'm trying to make sure I stir the applesauce stiff together. Oh yeah, it's definitely getting thick now. Uh-oh. I feel a volcano coming on. My second volcano. I feel like it's coming. Oh no! I feel it coming. Oh yeah. Oh, my second volcano. Awesome. Awesome. That's because I got so much soap in here. Ooh. Oh yeah. My second volcano. And now I know. You fill up your base joint to the top, and this is what happens. Oh yeah, awesome. Now I can say I had two. Best believe this joint. Oh yeah, this whisk is just like terrible right now. I think it looked like it volcanoed. Right? Doesn't it? Because it's filled so much to the top. Stirring it is just like so poofy. I think it volcanoed. Yeah, I think so. I got some of the soap flew into my mold. Mashed potatoes. I am flinging soap all over the place. I gotta get a longer, what you call these? Spatula. Well, a spatula spoon. Now, during this stage, when this happened, I turned it off. I'll probably turn it back on, but until I stir it, I am flinging soap everywhere. Let me tell you something. I have definitely learned my lesson. Do not fill the top of the pot with soap. Oh my goodness. Of course, I didn't know it would be to the top of the pot until after I start putting everything in there. So, because you can't really stir without getting stuff everywhere. So I definitely have learned my lesson with this one. My mold. Make sure my mold is wiped out because I don't want any regular white pieces in my mold when it's supposed to be black. Okay, so So we're at the next stage, which is the mashed potatoes. Don't it look like mashed potatoes? Well, I guess, I don't know if some people call this the Vaseline stage, and I don't know. Whatever. Mashed potatoes. Looking good, looking good. My soap is almost done. Pretty much. It's almost done. I think it volcanoed. It looked like it, didn't it? There's so much. Once it goes from one stage to the next, it usually gets a little, it starts to get a little bit thicker and maybe a little bit, not hard, but poofy because it's going to the next stage. But my soap is filled to the top, so it looked like it volcanoed a little bit, probably because it's filled so much to the top. But so I don't know. I think I'm gonna call it my second volcano. And that's all right. Just know that if you get volcanoes, and you just stir. That's all you have to do is stir. Keep stirring it. You'll stir it down. You gotta be in beast mode when a volcano, especially if you got a whole pot like this. One pop up, you gotta stir like you madman. Stir like your life depends on it. And after that fiasco, I turned it back on high. Why not? And now that everything is staying in the middle, I'm definitely scraping the sides to make sure I don't get any hard stuff. Now, I might actually zap test this now. Zap testing is when you take a piece of, and I flung some more soap. Really? Really? Oh goodness. Is when you take a little piece of soap and see, take a little piece of soap like this. And you it's hot. You blow on it to try and cool it off. Whew. Yeah, that's definitely hot. You want to cool it off. And you touch your tongue to it. If it zaps you, there's still lye, active lye, and you want to, keep cooking it for a little while. If it doesn't zap you, your soap is done. You could zap test it as soon as maybe like a little bit after the applesauce stage. Once you get to the next stage past applesauce and it all comes together, you can zap test it then. If there is no zap, it is done and you can turn it off. And that, turn it off early like that, some people tend to overcook the soap. Once you turn it off, you're good if there's no zap. And you can just add whatever you need to add and then put it in the mold. But some people don't know, or they don't like to do the zap test, so they tend to overcook it, thinking that it's not done. But sometimes when it gets to this stage, it is done. And that's why I like to zap test, to be sure. So if you don't, it ain't like you, if you get a zap, you'll know when you get zapped. Some people say, well, how do I know? You'll know. It ain't like it's like you being electrocuted or anything like that, and it's not like it's a burn. It's just like a little, like if you touch your tongue to a battery, like you know how you used to do as kids, it's not that strong, but it's sort of like that. It's just like a little zap. And my soap is done. No zap. So I'm going to turn it off. Ugh. God. Hate doing zap test. So nasty. Yep. No zap. Which means it's done. It just tastes like very disgusting soup. Okay. So, since this is done, I'm going to add what I need to get the show on the road. Okay, so one, I want to add my super fat, which went solid on me again after I had microwaved it. It went solid again, but that's okay. The soap will melt it. Just remember, just because it looks like like this, sort of like mashed potatoes, and a little, maybe, I wouldn't say translucent, but because even though it looks like this, but it's done. Okay, you don't want to overcook your soap. You do not want to overcook it. So, zap test. No zap, it's done. Okay? And then turn your pot off. I left the water on. Because you don't want to overcook it. You want to keep your soap as fluid as possible. Yeah, you want to keep it as fluid as possible, okay? So, just zap test. No zap, it's done. Turn it off. Add what you need to add. Get it in the mold. Pretty much. Okay, so, ugh. God, the taste of soap is still in my mouth. But you don't have to do it that way. There's other ways. Look it up. Because I just zap test it because it's faster. It's definitely faster. Okay, so what am I adding now? I think I'm going to add the fragrance first. Okay, and then I will separate. I got my bowl here. Yeah, whatever, I'll use that. So, again, I am using this, I don't know if you can see, the Drakkar Type from Berry. It smells just like Drakkar Noir, the cologne. Exactly like it. It smells exactly like it. It's ridiculous. Oh, goodness gracious, it smells good. Sheesh. Woo. First of all, I thought I turned it off, but I didn't. I had it on warm. Whew. I wonder if my soap is too hot. Sometimes I like to wait for it to add my fragrance till the soap's a little bit cooler. And this is a 4-ounce bottle, so we're pretty much adding the whole bottle. Now, even though I'm using this brambleberry fragrance, I am in a fragrance group called Savvy Intelliscents. Not Intelligence, Savvy Intelliscents fragrances. And that's a pretty great group where we do pre-buy fragrances for affordable prices. And my they came off. But occasionally, if I get an order something like this, where customer asks me to make him soap that smelled like a cologne, so I had to go searching for a fragrance that smelled like cologne. But usually every month we have pre-buys, a list of fragrances that we have available to buy for affordable price, and that's usually what I get. But like I said, somebody asked me specifically for a cologne type soap, so I had to go searching for like dupes and stuff that was made to smell like a man's cologne. And that's how I found this one. I'll put in the link below if you want to actually check our fragrance group out. But if you go to Facebook search and put in or look for Savvy Intelliscents fragrances, it'll pop up. Shoot, you might only have to put in Savvy and it might pop up, which is SAVVY. It might pop up actually. So yeah, go to Facebook and join the group. It's not just a fragrance group. We talk about soaps and bath bombs and lotions, and we help people out with whatever, you know, is a really, really good group. No drama. Great fragrances. Yeah, great prices. Big bottles of fragrances too. And we have a fragrance tester as well. So before he ships or puts the fragrances on pre-buy for everybody, he has a tester, Lizette Lopez, who is one of the admins in the group. He sends her some samples and she tests them for us to see whether, you know, how the scent holds up, how the, you know, whether it discolors or not, how does it hold up if you color it and whatnot. So that's pretty awesome. And we also have a candle tester as well, who tests the fragrance in candles. So yeah, check it out. I'll put in the links below. So, you know, if you're interested, you could, you know, check out the group. Anybody who's looking for some fragrances for soaps and candles. Soaps, candles, lotions, skin-safe fragrances. Jesus Christ, this is taking all day. Finally, the end of the bottle. I didn't want to pour it all in there at once and try and stir and it'd be sloshing all over the place. That's what you don't want to do. Did I fling some more soap? I did. Okay. Make sure I get every last drop out of these bottles. These things ain't cheap. And when you add in the fragrance, you want to make sure you're getting it all mixed in there good. You want to mix it all in. Sure, it may seem like a lot of stirring down, but you don't want to half mix it and mold your soap and cut it the next day and wonder why it's seeping out of the soap. You got to make sure that bad boy is mixed in. Whew, this soap is hot. Hot soap. Hot soap. Okay. Alright. I think the soap is mixed in. I mean, the soap. The fragrance is mixed in. Smells good. Smells good. Yeah. I hope it wasn't too hot. I don't know, child. I don't know. Okay. So now I got my coconut milk over there, but I'll add that. I'll add the coconut milk to both parts. I want to separate this because I want to keep it fluid, so I want to separate some of this. I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to, first of all, how am I trying to use this? I'm just going to, I don't know, judge how much I think I want on top. I don't want a whole bunch on top. As far as this is going to be red. Let me see. I want a whole lot, but that looks... Okay. Alright, so that much I'll put to the side. Now, now let's get to the charcoal. Stir it up. So let's add this charcoal. Remember I added this, I added, what I say? 5 tablespoons. Okay. Let's see how that worked out. Don't look like looks like I'm going to need some more charcoal. Definitely. See, this is when I wish I had some natural light, because sometimes, you know, natural light, you can see the colors or whatever better. If I don't stop flinging soap, I swear. Okay. It looks like it's black, but I'm just not sure. I wonder if I should add some more. Because of this lighting, the stupid kitchen light, I can't tell if it's like a black or a dark gray. And what I don't want it to be is dark gray. I want it to be black. So, I don't know. I might need... And when you add in color, make sure you get to the bottom of the pot. You definitely want to make sure, because down there you'll have unmixed color. And then you'll sort of have like a marble effect, which is not actually bad. Is it a hard piece? I don't think so. Okay. Move this off just in case. These gloves off, but with this charcoal, I don't really want to keep getting it on my hands. I mixed it earlier and splashed it all up my arm. Shush. You want me to tell you what don't come off easily? Charcoal. Mixed in oil. It looks good. Just not sure if it's dark gray or black. This is so annoying with the stupid lighting. So what should I do? Should I mix a little bit more? Maybe. Okay, what I'm going to use. I am going to, first of all, I'm going to have to take these gloves off. I didn't want to touch the charcoal, but it's getting soap on the bag. So, I'm going to mix a little bit more. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm not going to mix it a whole bunch. And I just got charcoal all over my hands. Okay. Of course I did. Of course. Because if you're not careful with charcoal, oh my god, it will poof all over the place. Yes, Lord. Which exactly what just happened to me. So I just added like 1 more tablespoon of charcoal with a little bit of, maybe a tablespoon of the sweet almond oil from the cup. And this is going to be it. Whether it's black or dark gray, it's going to be it. Whatever. Whatever. Okay. And now that I have taken my gloves off and I have soap all over the spoon is slippery, of course. Why not? Why not? Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do is add some of the coconut milk so I can keep this bad boy going. Fluid. So you guys are seeing this in real time in all my glory. All my glory. Which utensil am I using now, unfortunately? Occurred to me I might get some thumbs down for this chaotic video. I hope not, but I might. You never know. You never know. This is the coconut milk. I want to add some in here and save some for my batch for the red, remember? I mean batch for the little bit I put to the side for the red. And that is, I said coconut milk, right? Yes, coconut milk. What I should have did was add that first. I'm all discombobulated. But don't count me out, guys, yet. Don't count me out yet. Don't count me out. It certainly looks black enough, so I hope it is. But if it turns out to be dark gray, what can you do? I'll live with it. It ain't like the customer asked for a specific color or anything. It's just that, you know, I chose these colors and I wanted them to be black and red. So, that's alright. Smells so good. Whew. So I'm gonna move some of this stuff out the way. So I can bring my bowl over here. Of my separate soap. Let's try this red and hopefully it comes out the color that I want it to. Definitely not the red I was looking for. This is more, I probably added, even though I only added 1/8 of a teaspoon of black, it probably was too much. It looks more, it looks like a burgundy-ish. I wanted it to be red, but, well, let me see. I might add a little bit more red. First of all, where's that tie? I'm going to put this right here. I'll probably add a little bit more red and see. Just to see, and I can't fit that in there. Okay, let's see. Still looks burgundy, but what can you do? I'm gonna just try it. Okay, first let me make sure this is okay. You okay, soap? Okay. Alright. While I'm doing all this, I turned this back on low. So, first, I'm adding some of the coconut milk. I'm adding some of the coconut milk to the smaller bowl. Since this smaller bowl is not attached to the crock pot, it sets up a little bit faster. So, I'm going to try and make it more softer or fluid a little bit. fragrance smells so good. It does just like really smells like the cologne, Drakkar Noir. It really does. So I will definitely give Brambleberry that. It smells exactly like it. So if you like that cologne, definitely, or your husband, or if you're, of course, you're a man and you like that cologne, this is definitely the fragrance for you. It smells so good. There we go. I hope you guys can see. Am I in camera? I'm trying to see. I think so. I'm trying. Okay. This is not really going the way I wanted it to. Wow, that's actually still a pretty color. Huh. Ooh, that's pretty. Definitely not red. This is not red. Oh my goodness. This is definitely not red. This is like burgundy is all get out. Oh my goodness. And then I have, like, since I had this sitting to the side, I should have mixed the coconut oil in it first before I set it to the side. So now this is kind of lumpy. Oh my goodness. But that's okay. Yeah, this definitely is kind of lumpy. Oh boy. That's funny. That is not red at all. Not at all. I don't even think it's anything that I can put in there that would look that would look red. Oh boy. I don't even think yet. No, I don't think I can put anything. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. I got some True Red. Let me see. I don't think that's going to work like I want it to. It's it's not going to work. Oh my goodness. Wow. If anything, first of all, this True Red looks pink. It certainly looks pink to me. True Red my foot. True pink is what it looks like. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. I'm not going to say it's a disaster. You know what? It's called Shit Happens. Pink. Red my foot. Oh my goodness. Wow. This looks crazy. This is definitely... Oh boy. Oh well. That just means I have to get on with find my supplier of actual red, find a supplier of red mica. Yeah, definitely gotta find a supplier of red mica. That would help a lot, because that is not red. But that's okay. When you make soap, stuff happens. Pretty much. Stuff happens and you move on and you try to deal with it as best you can. get our mold. Yeah. Stir this and make sure it's looking good. You know what? I don't know what this soap is going to look like. Oh boy, this is funny. Okay, so, boo. Yeah, well, let's get it in there. It sort of looks black, but man, I feel like it's going to be dark gray. Well, at least it smells good, that's for sure. It looked like it's still a little bit at the bottom that I didn't quite was able to mix up. So make sure it's mixed up. Okay. Ooh, smells good. So, wowee, I have definitely got some lessons learned from this batch. Yes, Lord. Got some lessons learned. But it will still be a great soap. You know what? I forgot I was supposed to be saving some for my little buoy here. Oh, excuse me. My little buoy on the side. Alright. This is a fun soap to make. Mistakes and all. That is okay. Okay. Got some more in here. Then I'm going to be adding to the little baby. Come on, get in there, baby. Get in there. Before I put that on, I want to bang this down. Okay, so before I bang this down, I will pause it first. Okay, guys? Okay, So that's all banged down. And let's try this lumpy moss on top. So let me put a little bit over here. Okay. This soap looks like lumps of coal or something with like some raspberry jam on top or something. I actually could have left the this stuff on top off if I wanted to, but I didn't. That's okay. Ain't nothing wrong with the soup. It may look a little funky. It may look real funky, but that's okay. May look funky. Don't write it off yet. Okay. This is probably the ugliest soap I've ever made. But that still doesn't, just because your soap is ugly, don't mean it won't be a great soap. Remember that. It's still a great soap. Okay? It's still a great soap. Keep messing with it, trying to figure out how to make it look okay. This side is good. Somehow. And then I wish this was like for a woman or something. Then I could just like throw some glitter on it and be like, ta-da! Ta-da! Isn't it beautiful? It has glitter. But that's not, the glitter is definitely not going to fly. It sort of looks like some type of molten lava or something on top. So I am curious to see the cut of this soap. Woo boy, it smells good though. It looks crazy, but it definitely smells good. I wish I had some man glitter. Whatever man glitter is, right? Probably like some black sea salt or something. And I forgot about the little baby over here. The little baby soap. I'm doing this one a little different because who cares about the little one, right? Definitely not pretty. It'll still be good. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. Oh wait, I think I need another. Okay. So I can clean off the sides of this one, I believe. Crock pot. Oops, sorry. Sorry, I done jolted you guys around. Trying to unplug the crock pot. All over my hands. This is the ugliest soap I've ever made. This is so funny. But it smells good. Well. Okay, there you have it. My jacked up soap. You can see that it has some chunks in the top part because of me putting a bowl of soap to the side, and instead of adding the coconut milk like I should have before I put it to the side, I just put it to the side and I covered it, but I left it too long. So, but that's okay. But it smells amazing. And there you have it. Oh, and the baby too. See? And with that, thank you for staying through my whole journey, if you did. And tune in for the cut. Bye, guys.